Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died.
For years, fans have made guesses, rumors have spread, and Hollywood has been plagued by unsolved questions. But now, the truth is finally being seen. A lot of people used to love seeing Malcolm-Jamal Warner on TV, but he left behind more than just a memory. He left a puzzle behind. People have been talking quietly about his last days. Ralph Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He died at the age of 54. He was best known for his part as Theodore Huxtable on The Bill Cosby Show. What caused the person to die? Who died? Was it an accident or was it a murder? You might be shocked by the answer. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our station if you like Malcolm-Jamal Warner or old Western music. We talk about amazing stories about Western stars and old Hollywood stars. Harold Warner was born in Jersey City, New Jersey on August 18, 1970. He was named for two important people, Ahmad Jamal, a jazz musician, and Malcolm X, a civil rights leader. Malcolm grew up with only one parent after his parents split up. His mother, Pamela Warner, raised him and later became his manager. His mother saw early on that he had creative ability and always supported him, which grew his interest in the arts. Malcolm had been learning how to act and starring in community theater by the time he was 9 years old. Pamela moved with him to Los Angeles when he was a child so that he could have better chances in the film business. Malcolm began trying out for commercials and TV jobs there. Even though he liked playing more and more, school was still important to him. He finally went to the Professional Children's School in New York City, which is a school for young performers who have to balance busy performance plans with schoolwork. He learned to be disciplined and focused early on in school, which would later define his work. Warner was interested in writing poetry and directing from a very young age, showing that he was more than just a kid actor. Malcolm got his start in the entertainment business with a strong base of schooling, support, and his own natural talent. His mother helped him along the way. He would get his big break on The Cosby Show because of these early events, bringing him fame when he was still a teenager. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's path to getting a part on The Cosby Show is one of skill, drive, and timing. Warner's big break came in the early 1980s after years of acting classes, local theater shows, and small TV parts. He tried out for a part in a new show being made by famous comedian Bill Cosby when he was only 13 years old. Based on some of Cosby's real-life family situations, the show tried to show an African-American upper-middle-class family that was warm, funny, and easy to relate to. Someone important was Theo Huxtable, who was the young son of Cliff and Claire Huxtable. Warner stood out from the other hundreds of applicants. The producers and Bill Cosby himself were pleased by Malcolm's intelligence and charm. And his age doesn't affect his ability to say funny things in a subtle and real way. Warner played the part with a grounded, real feel, unlike many kid actors who seemed over-rehearsed or overly dramatic. Cosby was so pleased that he chose Warner himself because he thought Warner could play Theo Huxtable as the perfect on-screen teenage son. In September 1984, NBC showed the first episode of The Cosby Show and was an instant hit, quickly rising to the top of the polls. A wide range of people connected with Malcolm-Jamal Warner's performance as Theo Huxtable. Theo was a typical teen. He was funny, rebellious, and sometimes had trouble in school, but he was always loved and devoted to his family. His character was not only funny, but also funny because it was like the problems that many teens face every day. People could relate to Theo's journey, whether it was living with learning disabilities, as shown in a memorable episode, or dating and peer pressure. Warner's performance was real and heartfelt, and it won him praise from critics. In 1986, he was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a comedy series, which was a big deal for someone who was still in his teens. The show's warm, family-friendly vibe was helped a lot by his chemistry with Bill Cosby and the rest of the group. Malcolm-Jamal Warner became well known for his part as Theo Huxtable. The role not only launched his career, but it also changed how African-American families were shown on TV, having a lasting cultural impact that's still appreciated today. Bill Cosby stayed one of the most famous and important people in American entertainment after The Cosby Show stopped in 1992. At that point, he had already changed the history of TV by showing a black upper-middle-class family in a good, funny, and approachable way. After the show was a huge hit, Cosby kept working in show business and teaching, but the road ahead would be full of both personal success and fall from grace in public. In the years right after The Cosby Show ended, Cosby looked for new TV jobs. In 1996, he went back to TV with Cosby, a show where he worked with his old co-star, Felicia Rashad, again. Even though it was never as famous as The Cosby Show, it ran for 4 years. After his death, Cosby kept working behind the scenes as a director and voice actor. For example, he did voice work for the Nickelodeon animated show Little Bill, which taught young kids about life. Besides TV, Cosby was still well known for his work in education and charity. He had a Ph.D. in education from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and often gave talks about family values, discipline, and how important school is. He gave a lot of money to universities and, historically, black colleges and universities, HBCUS. For this, he was praised by many. People saw him as more than just a comedian or actor for a long time. They saw him as an important voice in American society. But by the middle of the 2000s, Bill Cosby's public image started to change. In 2005, Andrea Constant, who used to work at Temple University, accused him of sexual abuse. Even though the case was settled out of court at first, it made it possible for many more women to make similar claims. At first, these reports, which went back decades, were mostly ignored. But the accusations came up again strongly in 2014 when comic Hannibal Buress spoke out against Cosby's alleged behavior during a stand-up show. After that, there was a dramatic fall from glory. In the end, more than 60 women came forward with claims of everything from sexual harassment to rape, often with drugs involved. Even though Cosby denied all the accusations, the proof and testimonies painted a disturbing picture. He was found guilty of aggravated indecent assault in 2018 and given a prison term of 3 to 10 years. But in June 2021, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his sentence on a technicality that was not legal. Cosby was freed after almost 3 years in prison. Even though he is technically free, his reputation will always be ruined. Bill Cosby is now one of the most controversial people in the history of show business. He used to be known as America's Dad. After The Cosby Show, his life took a very different turn. It started out well and ended in shame. They left a complex legacy of groundbreaking work, broken trust, and a reckoning with culture. Fans all over the world are very sad about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden and terrible death. The well-liked actor, who was best known for his part as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, drowned while on vacation with his family in Costa Rica. An escape meant to be quiet turned into a nightmare on Sunday afternoon. Warner went to Playa Grande to swim, a well-known beach on the Caribbean coast near the town of Cahuita in the province of Limón, around 2:30 p.m. At that time, he was caught in a strong ocean current that dragged him into deeper water very quickly. People on the beach saw that he was in trouble and rushed to help, but the tide made it almost impossible for them to get to him in time. Later, Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Police reported that people nearby desperately tried to save Warner. But by the time emergency workers got there, he was already unconscious. At the scene, the Red Cross said he was dead. CNN reported on the event, and said they had asked Warner's officials for more information. Warner was a beloved figure in the history of TV. His death has left a void that will never go away and has made fans and fellow stars sad. It was with heavy hearts that Bill Cosby spoke out about the sad death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. His words showed how close they were. Cosby told a personal story about their last talk that came from a place of genuine emotion. Warner was bursting with pride over a show he put on in Minneapolis. It wasn't just a performance. It was a part of Malcolm that many people didn't always see. It was all about music and words. Cosby said he hoped that one day people would hear that piece and fully understand how creatively deep Warner was. He also took a moment to praise Malcolm's mother, Pamela Warner. He said that the bond between the two was like peanut butter and jelly. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. It was clear that he admired her strength and loyalty, and he knew that their bond had shaped Malcolm in a big way. When Cosby thought about how he got the news, he remembered how he got the news of his own son's death, through unclear and confusing information. Even though Cosby didn't know everything that happened in the water that day, he made it clear that Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a good person who was honest. He hopes that the media will treat him with the respect that he deserves. Eddie Griffin was very sad about Malcolm's death. He called him a brother and spoke deeply about Malcolm's life. As he knew Malcolm had won in life and was now in endless bliss, he told Malcolm that his heart was heavy and wished him eternal peace. They were more than just friends. They were brothers, because they respected each other, had similar situations, and loved each other deeply. Eddie's tribute to Malcolm showed how much the man meant to him in both his personal and business life. It was clear that Malcolm's death left a hole, but Eddie chose to enjoy his life instead of dwelling on the loss. Along with the rest of the cast of The Cosby Show, Malcolm-Jamal Warner had to deal with the backlash after sexual assault claims were made against the show's star, Bill Cosby. Cosby was first found guilty in Pennsylvania, but that verdict was later overturned. But the damage was already done to his image and the show's history. Warner talked about how much this issue hurt him in an interview with the Associated Press in 2015. He said the Cosby Show's reputation had been ruined, which was sad because it was one of the few TV shows that showed a happy African-American family doing well. Warner said that the thing that really bothered him was how this changed how people of color are shown in the media. It used to be that The Cosby Show was a sign of pride and greatness, and that it showed how black people should be portrayed in media. Now that Cosby has lost his reputation, Warner was afraid that people in the future might not even see the Huxtables as real or important. They might only see them as a made-up story, a fairy tale that tried to show what was possible but got lost in scandal. As part of his most recent project, Malcolm-Jamal Warner used podcasting to start important talks about mental health, especially in the black community. He started the podcast Not All Hood with Washi Baraka and Candace Kelly. It's a place where people can talk about real, raw experiences instead of stereotypical ones. Warner saw it as more than just a show. It turned into a safe place. At one point, he said that the show gave him a rare chance to let down his guard. He said that he felt safe enough there to share his deepest feelings and thoughts. He said that the experience made him feel safe enough to be himself. This shows how important it is for everyone, but especially guys of color, to have safe places to be open. Warner also talked about a common misunderstanding, that the black community has only one opinion. He made it clear that it's a lot more complicated, is made up of many different points of view and life events. The goal of Not All Hood was to bring attention to these differences, start honest conversations, and use stories to help people heal. Warner continued to use his voice to raise people up and break down obstacles even while working on shows like 911 with Angela Bassett. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was in a number of serious public relationships before he got married and started living a more private life. His on-screen girlfriend on The Cosby Show, Michelle Thomas, was his real-life girlfriend in the 1990s. They were together until she died in 1998, and Warner was said to have been by her side when she died. He dated actor Karen Molina White, who used to be on The Cosby Show from about 2000 to 2007. After that, Warner was linked to Regina King in a personal way from 2011 to early 2013. Malcolm-Jamal Warner made a quiet change to family life in 2017 when he had a girl. She was the first child in his life as a husband and father. He married a woman who wasn't in show business. She was allegedly an attorney. The names of his wife and daughter are not known to the public, but he has talked warmly about how happy and fulfilled they made him. Warner talked about how, by the time he was 45, he knew he had found someone special on a show in May 2025. Someone he felt safe raising a child with. And he said that in their almost 10-year marriage, they had never had a fight. He talked about a sweet time when he was watching The Cosby Show with his 8-year-old daughter, and she recognized him as Papa. He said it was a strange and moving experience. Warner always kept his family out of the public eye by only posting glimpses of their lives on social media. He was very careful to protect their names while gushing over how proud he was of them. In the end, he chose to build his love life and legacy away from the press, striking a careful balance between fame and privacy. Malcolm-Jamal Warner died suddenly at age 54. He had a net worth of about $6 million, which he had built up through a great career as an actor, musician, director, and producer. His big break came when he played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. That part made him famous, and he also made money from syndication residuals for decades. Warner followed his love for music when he wasn't acting. He led the jazz-funk band Miles Long and even won a Grammy Award in 2015. He also directed TV shows and music videos, which gave him more power in the entertainment business and more ways to make money. Warner did artistic work, but he also knew how to handle his money well. For example, he invested in real estate. The value of his longtime home in Studio City, California, which he bought in the 1990s, has gone up a lot over the years. It is known that Warner was married and had a daughter, but his personal life stayed out of the public eye. His wife and child are likely to get most of his estate since he doesn't have any big debts that are known to the public. His careful planning and hard work over a lifetime gave his family a strong base of financial security and an artistic legacy.